Comparing ourselves to other people. Why do we do this? We know we shouldn't, but we do it a lot anyway. It's very easy to do. More importantly, how do we stop comparing ourselves to other people? In this video, I want to answer those questions. I want to share some practical tips on how to stop comparing yourself. I'm going to talk about some of the dangers of comparing yourself, and then I'm going to share some insights kind of that I have learned from falling into the trap of comparing myself to people in hopes that it will maybe give you some insight for yourself. But before we get into this video, consider liking and subscribing to our channel here. It helps us out a lot, and we appreciate each and every one of you for watching. So first, I want to define what comparison actually is. I think it's really important when we're dealing with an issue to really define it, to know exactly what it is that we're dealing with. I've got my laptop here just off screen, so I'm going to read you the actual definition of comparison. A consideration or estimate of the similarities or dissimilarities between two things or people. So keep this definition in mind. We're going to come back to it in just a bit. Also, before we go further, I feel like it's worth mentioning, you may not even realize you're comparing yourself to other people, and this was kind of the position that I was in, and God kind of revealed to me, or kind of laid it on my heart and my mind, and made me realize, why am I comparing myself to people so much? And that made me realize that was like a source of a lot of anxiety and worry and fear and those negative emotions for me. So maybe you don't even realize that you're comparing yourself to other people, and this is a trap that we all fall into at some point. Now let's take a look at what forms comparison can take. There's a lot of forms that it can take, but these are some of the main ones that I think are most common. So compare material or physical items. So looking at someone else and saying, I wish I had the boat they had, I wish I had the big nice house like they had, or their vehicle is nicer than mine, I wish I had their possessions. So comparing their possessions to yours. Another form is comparing personality or even physical looks. So looking at someone, and we've all done this. This is very, very common, very normal. Looking at someone and saying, I wish I looked like them. They're so skinny, or they're so pretty, or they have a pretty smile, or their nose is smaller than mine. Just whatever it is, it's very common. Or maybe comparing their personality. They're so outgoing and I'm so shy. Or maybe if you feel like you're too outgoing, I wish I could be a little more reserved. Just comparing your looks or your personality. And this last one here, I think, is kind of the most dangerous, and that's comparing success or stage of life. So you might be looking at someone saying, man, they're so young, I wish I was young, and that can really open up the door for some really negative feelings, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But if you think about it, comparing your stage of life, that might open the door if you're older to saying, you know, I really wasted my time when I was young. And you really have to ask yourself, is that true? That's putting a big statement on your life there, saying I wasted my time when I was young. Or maybe you're saying I wish I was older. Maybe once I hit that mark of 30, I'll be a little more mature, sure of myself. And maybe you're comparing success. This is where I fell big time. I will compare my success to other people and say they're so successful, it must mean that I'm doing something wrong. It must mean that I'm stupid. It must mean that I'm dumb. And that's really bad. You don't want to say those things to yourself. And it's important to note here that comparison can come from different places. So sometimes it comes from just that place of like kind of petty covetousness, just pure jealousy. I want what they have, why don't I have that? But a lot of the times it can come from fear. And I think we all experience both of those, but sometimes it comes from fear out of a place of, they're successful, I'm not successful. They must be doing something right, I must be doing something wrong. And that's not true. So let's talk about some more reasons why you should not compare yourself to other people, and then we're going to talk about how you stop comparing yourself to other people. I want to give you some practical tips that will help you in that area. I would say the number one reason of why you should not compare yourself to other people is when you compare yourself to other people, it's a consideration or an estimate. Remember that vocabulary word. Remember the definition of comparison, what we just talked about. It's a consideration or an estimate. You're comparing apples and oranges, basically. Even if it's someone that you know really well, even if it's a family member, you don't know exactly what their life is like. So you don't want to put yourself in someone else's shoes because they're not going to fit you, because those shoes were made to fit that person. So yes, at the end of the day, we're all humans, but that's about it. That's about all we have in common in some levels, in some ways. You have to think about this regarding comparison. So you don't want to compare yourself to everyone else because it's just not a level playing field, and that's going to set you up for disaster. going right along with that is that God says that you are wonderfully and fearfully made. There's only one of you. Even if you're like me and you have a twin sister, there's still only one of you. And He made you unique. He made you with the talents and the gifts and everything else that you have. And He made you that way for a reason. So you don't want to compare yourself to someone else, because He made them with their gifts and their talents and everything that they have going on for a reason as well. So if you sit back and you think about it, you can just simply deduce with your common sense that comparing yourself to other people is just not fruitful. It's not going to get you anywhere. And I want you to get in the mindset of thinking like this, of realizing comparing myself to someone is just stupid. It's just not something that's going to help me. It's just something that I shouldn't do. Another big danger of comparing yourself to someone else is every time you do it, you crack your confidence. You just put a crack right in yourself every time you do it. And then following along with that is it makes it easier to do the next time. That kind of leaves an open door for the devil, right? When we compare ourselves and we say, well, we're not good, and I wish we were like this, and wish we were like that. That's coming all from ourselves, and if we come from ourselves, that's a place of scarcity. So you don't want to crack your confidence. You don't want to leave that door open for the devil to come in and say, yeah, you're right, you're not good enough. You could be like this person, you could be like that person. It leads to ungratefulness in your stature and your abilities and what God has given you. Every time you compare yourself, you're basically looking at yourself and your abilities and what you've got and saying, I don't really like what I see. I'm not really grateful. I wish I had that. And that's a big problem. You don't want to do that. And as a Christian, you definitely want to be grateful for everything that God has given you. You don't ever want to have an attitude towards yourself or toward God that says, I don't really like myself. That's kind of like telling God, I don't really like what you made. That's bad. You don't want to do that. A few other reasons why comparing yourself to others is bad is it makes you an emotional mess. So it leaves that door open, like I just said, for the devil to come in. It stirs up all kinds of negative emotions. When you start that comparison, even if it starts as simple and it's seemingly harmless to start with, it just stirs up emotions. And you know what happens when you have one emotion stirred up? The rest of them bubble to the surface. So maybe you weren't even upset about something, but you started comparing yourself, you started feeling that negativity, and then along comes everything else with it. And that can totally ruin your day. That can, put a kink in your relationships with people, in the task that you have to do on a daily basis. And I'm sure you've heard that comparison is the thief of joy, and that just cannot be more true. It steals your happiness. It just sucks all the joy out of your life to where you can't even look around you and say, wow, the sky's beautiful today, or wow, I can't believe, I have a clean bed and a nice home and a nice husband, or whatever it is. You can't be grateful for anything, and it leads to insecurity, which is what I was touching on a minute ago. That's when all those negative emotions come up with it, and then you're just insecure, and then you start kind of evaluating yourself. You see one thing that you don't like, you start evaluating yourself, and you just feel very insecure, and you think, oh, I don't know about this, and then before you know it, your confidence is just dashed, and it's hard for you to even make basic decisions. So overall, you can see that comparing yourself is really bad, and I'm sure you know this. If you're watching this video, you know that comparing yourself is a bad thing to do. We all know that, but it's just easy to fall into, and sometimes we get so ingrained in that pattern that we kind of forget the dangers. And it's important, I think, to go back and remind ourselves, here's why we shouldn't do this. When we see the dangers, that can be a good motivator. Oh wow, just simply looking at a person and thinking, I wish what they had, can lead to all this unhappiness. And comparison just leads to things being never enough. So before I move on here in just a second to how we stop comparing ourselves, it leads to things being never enough. And this is the biggest kind of issue for me regarding comparison, is that it makes things just never enough. Every time you compare yourself, and I did a video on when things feel like they're never enough, so I'll leave a link in the description, but you diminish your personal best when you look at someone else and say, I want what they have. That is a just big no-no. Like, if you get anything from this video, remember that you don't want to give yourself that feeling of it's never enough, because that can bleed out into everything and really make you unhappy. So how do you stop comparing yourself to other people? Because it's a trap that we so easily fall into. Sometimes you don't even realize you're in the trap until it's too late. So how do you stop comparing yourself to other people? So first and foremost, you do have to realize you're comparing yourself to other people. And that sounds silly, but you have to kind of train yourself to be aware of that. So when it happens, that's when you can stop it right then. So with a lot of these things that happen in your mind, a lot of negativity, a lot of just emotions that are all over the place. The key is you have to stop it as quick as you can, because once it kind of goes on and on and on in your brain, then it gets a real foothold, it gets a wide open door for the devil, and then it's hard to stop. Not that you can't never stop it, but it's easiest to stop when it first starts. So one question that I ask myself, and this is usually the first question I ask myself if I'm comparing myself to someone, is I really genuinely stop and I say, do I want to be that person? Do I wholeheartedly, that's what I want? So let me give you an example. So if you've been on the channel before, you probably know that I like to make soap. Making soap is really fun. It's also a lot of work. And sometimes I can't always make it as much as I would like to. And so not long ago, I was somewhere online and I seen a lady who was making a lot of soap. She was very successful, and as far as my knowledge goes, that's her full-time business. And I found myself comparing myself to her and saying, well, I should be able to make more soap like her. And I really stopped and thought for a minute, and I thought, do I want to have a soap business full-time, which means I don't do YouTube anymore, which means I probably don't have the time to play music anymore, and I just want to make soap full-time? Is that really what I want to do? And I was able to quickly say, no, I don't want to do that at all. I love YouTube. I love making my videos. I love my channel. I love playing music. I love doing everything else. So no, I don't want to be a full-time soaper. Okay then. Why am I comparing my success to hers? Again, these are two things that can't be compared. So I'm just giving you this example because you could do this in your life too. Really ask yourself, do you want what that person has? Do you actually want to buy a boat and go through all the maintenance of it and go fishing every single weekend? Whatever the example is, it doesn't matter, but really ask yourself. And then most of the time you can say, no, I actually don't want exactly what they have. Maybe you want a piece of it. So for me, I'm still going to make soap, but I don't want to be a full-time soap maker. So you see what I'm saying here. The second tip I have for you to stop comparing yourself to other people would be, remember what I said a minute ago about what God says, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I believe that's Psalms 139:14. There's only one of you. Even like I said, if you're like me and you have a twin, there's only one of you. You get to be on the front row seat of the movie that is your life. Think how cool that is. Do you ever just walk around? Next time you're in a crowd or Walmart or wherever you're at, I encourage you to look around. There's so many different people, men, women, different races, just so many different people experiencing life in a different way. How cool is that? You're the only one who will ever see life through your eyes. No one else can do that but you. How neat is that? So celebrating yourself, encouraging yourself through Christ is a great way to stop the comparison, to really look inward and say, I'm pretty cool. I've got some cool things going on that maybe these other people don't have, and they have other things going on that I don't have. But celebrate yourself. Be good to yourself. Be happy with the way that God made you. The third tip I would have is be realistic. You're you. There's no changing that. You're born into the body you have. You can't get another body and try again. You have to be realistic. You have no control over the life that you are born into. You don't get to control who you're born and where you're born, but you can control what you do with the rest of your life. And find the balance between, okay, I have some goals that I want to set, that I want to meet, or am I just trying to meet these goals because someone else is meeting them and I think I should? That was a big game changer for me when I realized I don't have to do things just because other people are doing them. And I know that sounds silly, but I know there's someone else out there who's in this same place as me. Probably a lot of people, and that's why I wanted to make this video. But realize and really ask yourself, prayerfully, pray about it. Is this a goal? Is there a new goal that I want to set? So do I want to start going to the gym for me, or because I think someone else is telling me to, or because other people are doing it and I think I should? Really find the balance and find the truth in there. My fourth tip is do some investigative work and be very prayerful and look into why you're comparing yourself to other people. Sometimes it is just coming from that really petty, jealous place, and then we know that we just have to dismiss that and say, no, that's not right. Look at all that I have. God has blessed me. I'm not going to follow that path of negativity. But sometimes it's because there's deeper rooted issues, and in praying, God can help you reveal some of those areas in your life that maybe you need work on. And I know this has been so true for me. As I said before, one of my kind of biggest pitfalls regarding comparison is compare my success to someone else. And not to say that I don't sometimes do that from a petty place of I want what they have, but most of the time it just comes from a place of fear of failure, feeling like I'm not going to measure up. And once you know that, then you can really pray, really dive into the scriptures and attack that fear, which for me is the fear of failure or fear of not measuring up, then you can really go at it from that angle, and I think that will be more fruitful. A few more things worth mentioning here before I end this video is remembering that God gives all of us different spiritual gifts. So I would definitely encourage you to go to 1 Corinthians and read chapter 12. That's where Paul is talking about spiritual gifts. He gives each of us different spiritual gifts. So again, remembering back to, I think it was maybe the second tip, where you want to encourage yourself, just remembering if you're looking at someone else and maybe you're feeling like you don't measure up, God's given you amazing spiritual gifts that maybe he didn't give them, and he's given them great spiritual gifts that maybe he didn't give you. But God can use you, but you have to be open to that. And if you're looking around and only comparing yourself to other people, putting on other people's shoes that are never going to fit you, you're not even going to fit into your own shoes. And that reminds me of the verse in Philippians where it says that God has begun a good work in us and that he will see it finished. So he has given us these talents, and if we believe that, which we should, believe what's in the Bible, then we can believe that he will direct us, that if we're prayerful with those talents, that he will direct us and he will use them to his glory through us as he sees fit. So I'm going to end this video here. It's actually cold where I'm filming today. I wonder if my nose is red or my fingers are kind of looking pale. That happens when I get cold, and I wonder if I'll get some comments saying, you look like you're pretty cold. But it is pretty chilly out here, but it's a great place to film because the natural light is so much better even than studio lights. So I'll wrap this video up. I really hope you got something from this, and just remember, we all fall into this trap of comparison. It's a normal thing, but it's just important that we realize it. It's important that we don't let it take root in our life. It's important to remember that God made us each different, each unique, and if we're prayerful and we're looking to him for guidance, he can guide us, he can help us with any issue that we have. As always, thank you for watching. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you on the next video.